Welcome to Nasdaq Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq. For this segment, we're going to focus on opportunities for innovation and investment in kidney disease technologies. Joining me to discuss is James McCullough, CEO of Nasdaq-listed Renaltix, Leslie Trigg, CEO of Nasdaq-listed Outset Medical, and Randy Barron, Lead Portfolio Manager at Pinnacle Associates. Thank you all for joining us this afternoon and welcome to Trade Talks. And I would like to get each of your perspectives on the first question. James, let's start with you with some statistics, diagnosis, and prognosis. Tell me a little bit about the kidney disease market and what it has been like historically.
So kidney disease is now one of the single largest unmet clinical needs that we have in the United States and actually globally. There are estimated to be 850 million people globally with existing kidney disease. In the United States, that number exceeds 37 million. These are very large populations. And of course, kidney disease goes right along with diabetes and obesity. Both categories, unfortunately, are increasing dramatically. So the need for a precision medicine solution in kidney disease couldn't be more critical to change outcomes and influence costs. And specifically with Renaltix, what we're introducing is an advanced precision medicine prognosis standard, really focused on let's identify who has progressive kidney disease, rapidly expanding kidney disease, and who is at risk of kidney failure, and let's do it early. Because the key to changing outcomes and controlling costs on a population basis is let's look at disease early and characterize it. So Renaltix is now in the process of rolling out KidneyIntelX, which is an advanced precision medicine prognostic for early stage, that's stage 1, 2, and 3, diabetic kidney disease.
And Leslie, give us a history of kidney dialysis and where we are now.
Sure. It's a short story because not much has changed in the last 30 years. And so when a group of us got involved in 2012, that was the first thing we really noticed. We had come from other parts of medical devices where things were changing really rapidly, let's say in the cardiovascular space where you'd see new devices coming out, every quarter, if not every month. And then you hit dialysis and you're looking at equipment from the 80s. So that was the big opportunity that we saw, was to modernize the technology that's used in dialysis care.
And Randy, from an investment perspective, tell us about the kidney disease market.
Well, the thing that jumped out at me here was there's essentially a Grand Canyon, right? The majority of kidney is focused on, and they don't use the term, but end of life thing. If you're dealing with dialysis, you're not in the dawn of your years. And so, the Vitas of the world, everyone's focused on kind of that stage 4 chronic kidney problem. At the other end of the Grand Canyon, we found Renaltix, and our thing is we were the first US investors in Renaltix. Our investment has done very well since then. But when we look at that Grand Canyon, it's very apparent to us that Renaltix was the only company that was trying to prevent getting to that other side. And then from an investment perspective, the other thing I would say about kidney more generally is it's not taboo. Like compared to bladder cancer, like everyone kind of knows kidney, it's the largest expense in the Medicare budget, 20-some-odd% of people being taken to dialysis to flush a week's worth of kidney function in 3 days, in 3 hours.
And have there been any particular circumstances that have led to growth and potential of this market? James, I'll have you start off with that answer, and Randy, if you can follow up.
Yeah, there have been a number of fundamental changes. So we haven't seen a significant amount of innovation in kidney disease in the last several decades. That has all started to change. So the fundamental economics around kidney disease treatment has started to shift now to the front end of the disease. Preventative medicine is now becoming quite significant in terms of the government policy and the reimbursement dynamics around kidney disease. We were delighted that with KidneyIntelX at Renaltix, we were able to receive a national Medicare pricing for the prognostic. And also, we're seeing a considerable awareness, which is increasing now towards the front end of the disease. It's a baseline equation. If we really want to stem the cost, the significant cost and some of the suffering associated with kidney disease, we have to start understanding progression early. And the way we're doing that is through an in vitro diagnostics strategy approach. so that we can really provide early and accurate and simple information to physicians to understand whether their patients are at risk of progressing. And then we have clinical action that can actually treat it. So we're operating in a very favorable and dynamic policy shift in kidney disease, and I think it's going to have substantial consequences downstream for the entire industry.
And then from the investment perspective, the event that has happened this year, which is under the radar and no one realizes it, is Medicare coverage of innovative technology, MCIT. So this test that James is talking about is the definition of innovation. And in January, right before the Trump administration went out, they passed for Medicare something called MCIT, which basically changes the entire national coverage determination for Medicare. Historically, and I've been burned by this with some other investments in the past, you go through FDA process, it's a 18-month, 2-year process, you get your FDA approval, then you go to Medicare, the largest payer, and say, all right, we're gonna now begin the same 1 year, 2 year, whatever long it takes to get national coverage. After MCIT, what's gonna change is that once you get FDA approval, which hopefully Renalytix will have in later this year, the second half of this year, you're gonna get to a point where you get immediate national coverage, NCD, for 4 years. And at $950 a test, Medicare has 12 million covered lives. You assume 5% of that, 600,000 lives, they call it $1,000 a test to make the math easy. No one sees this coming. It's transformational.
James, what are the opportunities for innovation in this market? And Leslie, if you can follow up to James's answer.
Yeah, I think there are huge opportunities. These are very large populations. Kidney disease dwarfs what we have going on in oncology, but we have the oncology roadmap, the cancer roadmap. We know how precision medicine is going to come in. We know how it's going to take hold. So we can look to the cancer model, which has been incredibly successful, to vastly accelerate the precision medicine diagnostics and therapeutics and clinical treatments in chronic kidney disease. So I think the revolution, as it were, in early stage kidney disease, moving to later stage kidney disease with precision medicine is going to happen in a vastly accelerated time frame than what we saw in oncology. And there are going to be many companies that now emerge. As Randy pointed out, the biggest issue with diagnostics has always been reimbursement. That's been the biggest risk factor. And now with MCIT, this new rule with Medicare, which came in January, I view the landscape has completely changed. And those medical devices and diagnostics that end up in FDA breakthrough device designation are now able to de-risk substantially the pathway towards a national Medicare coverage determination and de-risking reimbursement. That's going to stimulate a lot of capital flow into the business. And the general awareness among clinicians and patients and government policymakers around the issues associated with kidney disease is also going to provide further stimulus. So kidney is the new cancer. It's going to be an incredibly innovative space, and it's going to be very exciting to watch starting this year.
And Leslie, if you could follow up, please.
Sure. We see opportunity, I suppose, in the other end of the spectrum. There's opportunity everywhere. The opportunity we see is in democratizing dialysis. I think part of the reason why for some patients it may feel like they're not in the dawn of their years is because today they don't have much of a choice about where, when, and how they dialyze. We see technologies like the one that Outset has developed that enable them to dialyze really, anywhere, anytime, by effectively anyone is important to giving people back the opportunity to view the management of kidney disease like the management of any other chronic care condition. It can be the dawn for them. And so, so we see opportunity in helping people access dialysis and sort of democratize dialysis in a much more modern way than has been afforded to them in the past.
And James, why is it important to understand risk in early stage kidney disease?
The analog, I came out of the oncology world, so we developed diagnostics for prostate cancer, for example, and the real issue is men will eventually get prostate cancer if they live long enough. And if we live long enough, that becomes a high-class problem. The real issue is, do you have prostate cancer that matters? And with cancer, you have to catch it early. You don't want to be showing up with late-stage cancer. You want to understand disease progression. Especially if you're younger, you want to understand whether you're at high risk for disease progression. And we learned that lesson in prostate cancer. The same is true in kidney disease. As we all get older, our kidney function declines. The real question is not whether you experience kidney function decline as you get older. The real question is, are you experiencing an acceleration of kidney function decline, which may be a function of diabetes or obesity? And if you are, we want to know early. And if we want to know early, then we can do something about it. There's specific clinical actions that we can take to slow or stop the progression of kidney disease. But you have to understand this progression equation, this risk for progression early in the disease cycle.
And Randy, why should investors pay attention to the kidney disease space now?
Investors should pay attention to kidney today because Exact Sciences, EXAS, which focuses on colon, doesn't make money, has a $23.5 billion market cap. Kidney is probably, I'm guessing, 5x the TAM. And today, Renalytix has a market cap of $1 billion. Math takes care of itself.
All right, James, Leslie, Randy, appreciate the insight. Thanks for joining us on Trade Talks, and thanks for joining me. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq.